Welcome to I Do This for a Living, a show that questions everything about work culture and asks how we can spend as much time and energy on the things that matter as we do on the things that pay. Sometimes the things that matter pay, and we'll talk about that too. I'm Serenity, a writer, a day jobist, and your host. Writing and podcast hosting are my favorite of those things. Today, I am interviewing the person who regularly talks me through my lifelong angst about work and creativity. It is my sister, Felicity White. Hello, you.
Hello.
I am actually thinking of having a recurring segment that I will call Felicity Talks Me Down.
Oh my gosh.
It happens.
Yeah,
all
it
the
does.
time. So we could just record it occasionally is what I'm thinking. We'll see
Sure.
how that works out. Okay, so I'm going to have you introduce yourself to my mass audience.
Okay.
And this is how I want you to do it. So far, this has not worked with anyone, let me just say, but I think it will. So let's see if I can explain what I mean. What I want to do is figure out who you are in the world, how anyone might know you. So I want you to imagine you're at some, eatery in Omaha. That's where she lives. And you see someone who's darn sure they know you, but they can't quite place you. And you aren't sure which sphere of your life they come from. What are some things you say to them to try to help you and them identify who you are and how they know you?
Okay. I can do that. I would probably first go, I teach at Metro. Have you ever gone to school at Metro? And then I would probably say, did you ever go to Central, or did any of your kids go to Central? Because that's where my kids went, and I have 4 kids. And so I was there a very long time doing a lot of wonderful, fun things. And then I would probably be like, do I need a third thing? Not necessarily. I would probably be like, maybe you know my husband Dan. He works downtown. That's probably what I would say.
Okay, you did that perfectly. Because what I'm trying to get at with that question is sort of how people see themselves or what is most prominent in their life. Kind of like I kind of half expect people to go family first, like, oh, maybe my kids. That's probably what I would do. But it was interesting that you went work first. But that's because you work in a place that a lot of people come through. And so that made sense. And I also knew you would surely bring up Central. I mean, if you're not...
Go Eagles.
If they haven't gone to school with your kids, they will see you in the bleachers at some point for the rest of your life.
100%.
We'll talk about that perhaps later. Okay, so you did that fabulous. Thank you.
I'm very good at following rules.
That's so good to know about you. Oh gosh, I'm the opposite. Okay, so let's possibly circle back to this offline. But if you have a better way for me to ask that question for people so they know what I'm getting at, you tell me. Okay. Our first segment is called Billable Hours. And so we're just going to talk about it. What do you do for a living?
Okay. Well, I sort of already said this in my intro, but I teach at the community college here in Omaha. I've been at the community college for over 10 years, like 13 years actually, because it was the first job I had in Omaha and in a part-time role. And so now I've done several different roles there, and now I'm full-time faculty in an area called academic success, and I teach primarily a class called exploratory studies. So that's my work life.
You called it Metro. What's the full name?
Metropolitan Community College.
Metropolitan Community College in Omaha. I did not remember that was your first job there.
Yeah, I was a reading coach. That was my very first job in Omaha, was a part-time reading coach at Metro. And I think I always wanted to get back to it in some way. And I just kept circling it.
I can't wait to talk about that. Okay, so my next question is, I'm going to put these together. How did you get in the role you're in, or how did you get there?
Mhm.
however long you wanna tell that story is fine.
Okay.
And kinda what does it take to get there?
Sure.
What if someone else wants your job someday?
Okay. Right. So when I moved to Omaha, one of the reasons we moved here is because I was starting a grad program in, at the time, I thought English literature. I
Taking.
moved
You were taking a
taking,
grad, yeah.
yes, yeah, a grad program, working on a master's degree with the idea that what I wanted to do was teach, I thought. So, and my part-time job I found was as a reading coach, which didn't require me to be a licensed teacher. I just needed to be able to be trained on these reading, tutoring materials. And as we've already established, I'm very good at learning systems and being able to carry them out. So I actually loved that job. It was with mostly with adult ed students, which are students working on their GED or they're in the non-credit ESL program. So they were English language learners. So um, working with that, I loved the work of it because I also, in my past, when I was in college, I did some para work in kindergarten, and that was like a dream job. And so I really got into literacy and learning how to teach people how to read and things like that. I was doing that same work, but with adults, which I found super interesting and meaningful, which I think we will get to later. So the grad program was should have been 2 years, but I decided to switch into a Master of Fine Arts in Creative Writing, the famous MFA, if you've heard of it. And so I took a 3-year time span to get my graduate degree. Finish that degree, and you need a master's degree to teach at the college level. So that was kind of the
Did
goal
you
I was
need it
going for.
what did you need? Did you need an undergrad to be the reading coach?
Yes. To be a
Okay,
reading
you needed
coach,
a bachelor's.
I needed a bachelor's degree, and it needed to be education adjacent, which usually my undergrad degree is in English, so that pretty much makes me adjacent to most things. So, but I wanted to be a teacher. So, when I finished up my grad program, my poetry professor who I loved, she said, "If you want to teach, you really should focus on publishing your work." Because to teach creative writing, you really need to have your MFA plus a ton of published poems or stories. Okay. So, but I was nervous about that because that's putting a lot of my career in the hands of someone else because
Yeah,
publishing, as you know,
I do.
is quite fickle. And it really does require a ton of work on your part in the literary world, like journals and stuff like that. It's just like you submitting massive amounts of work and hoping to get, a few bites, a few publications. It's a big undertaking. And I, at the time, had, my 4 kids, very school age, and I just kind of knew, like, I'm not gonna be able to do that. I really do want to teach, but I'm not gonna be able to put the time into because it's not just submitting, right? It's actually writing the work that you have to
Right.
submit. So, because I'd had that reading coach job, I did see some other pathways. So as soon as I got my graduate degree, then I was qualified to adjunct at Metro so I could teach English courses part-time. So I applied for that job and I got that job. So adjuncting is kind of stressful in the sense of you don't always know if you're going to get one course or a couple of courses assigned to you. So as far as money wise and like consistent career, it's super fragile, the
Yeah.
system. So, but I did it, and I did regularly get at least one course a quarter. So I found a full-time job that was adjacent to my interests. It was in the digital library world, and it was an exciting kind of startup situation in Omaha, so I had a lot of fun with that. community building and networking. And there was a Metro mini campus in that building. So I interacted with a lot of MCC staff. So adjuncted, worked that part-time job for 2 years, adjuncting for 2 years. So I'm teaching 3, 4 classes, sometimes 5 classes a year for Metro. Then a position opened up in adult ed, which is, so go back 4 years, the job I originally had as a reading coach, a full-time position opened up in that department. So I knew the department, I knew the people, I knew I loved the students and the work. And it was listed as a 60-40 split job, 60% teaching, 40% admin.
Okay.
This is going to play in later. So I got that job, and not ironically, partially because I had a lot of tech skills that I had learned at the digital library.
Wow. It
And
all
yeah,
connects.
exactly. Later, one of the people who was on the committee was like, "Did you know how close it?" Well, no one's supposed to talk about this, but I did get this information. Did you know how close it was between you and the other person? And I'm like, no, of course not. And they're like, well, your tech skills, what you showed us in your demonstration, your tech skills really put you over the top in that
Oh my
interview.
gosh.
I know. So, which is a great story that I do tell my exploratory studies students a lot. Okay, so
Do
now
you
I'm,
tell them in the sense of you never know what's going to be transferable?
yes.
Okay.
And that every skill you learn in your job might transfer to something you like better.
Cool. Okay.
But everything it's to me one of the best ways to make the most of whatever job you're in is to know, I can put this on my resume if nothing else.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
So I'm back at Metro in adult ed in that role. Really loved it. Especially loved the teaching portion of it. Was pretty good at the administrative part, but I could tell I didn't love it. But did that stop me from taking the next job that was 100% administration? No, it did not. And so this is a
Oh,
spot where I'm like, I'm not sure it was the best choice, although, as you say, in the whole trajectory, it worked out great. But um, it was,
what was your reason to take that
well,
100% admin? It was a step up, sort
it
of? Or?
was. It was like a promotion. It was a newly created position that kind of was created. I kind of co-created the position, which was the fun part, and for sure why obviously I took it. We were trying to create a first-time student class. So you've never worked on your GED, you've never worked on a second language, so you haven't been in school for a while. So you don't have just content to learn, you need to learn how to learn,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to learn all of these school systems, school email and having an ID number and testing, pre-testing and post-testing. And so I thought it was a really great idea. It's still running, so it must have been a really great idea. And I had a great time starting it and really running it for a while, but then sort of hit a wall of, wait, I am scheduling all these teachers to teach these classes that I would rather be teaching. But I
Wow.
can't teach all the classes because then I don't have time to schedule all the teachers to teach the classes and track, adult ed is a grant funded, you're begging for money all the time to run those programs. So you
Oh,
have
wow.
to track everything. Well, grant world,
Indeed.
we have to track everything. Like every
Right.
student has to be accounted for. So that was the kind of work that I was doing that,
Oof.
and I know I've heard you say this, like, I'm good at it. I can do it quite well, but I just don't enjoy doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I transitioned. So then I was kind of like, my ears were perked up for making a transition. So I made a transition to a staff job on the credit side, also at Metro. So it was in career experiences, which was a new department. So I do have a habit of going to New things. No one's ever had this job before. This is a brand new department. I have ideation in my top 5 of my
Uh-huh,
strengths
I would say.
finder, so that's kind of a sweet spot for me. So, I only spent 2 years in that department, but I learned a ton about career development, career exploration. Um, so all this time I'm expecting my full-time job that I want at Metro is English faculty.
Okay.
So that's what I'm thinking is gonna be my full-time thing. But this position opens up in exploratory studies and a faculty position in exploratory studies. And I looked at the description and I was like, I know all of this stuff. Like, I do all of this stuff all the time. And it used to be a reading class. It used to be a class called College Success Strategies, which was a lot about reading. So it was like working on your academic skills. I've done that. It's a classic, um, you're new to school, you're not sure what you want to major in. We're going to put you in this class called Exploratory Studies, and it's going to help you through that path. So it's a lot like the class that I developed on the non credit side. And so all of those pieces just sort of came together and I applied for it and interviewed. You do all the million interviews, and had the right qualifications from my past plus this experience. And I got it and I love it.
She loves it.
And
Does
here we
everyone
are.
hear? This this is key to this conversation. Felicity loves her job.
She tries not
She
to brag.
she doesn't try very hard.
No.
Okay, man, there's 2 things I wanna go back to, but do I go back or go forward? I'm gonna go back for a second.
Okay.
You had a kindergarten para job, you said,
Hmm.
that you called the dream job.
I loved
So
it so much.
so that's little kiddos, and now
Hmm.
you're working with grown-ups. You love that job.
Hmm.
Are they similar? I mean, what was the dream of the para thing that you're fine that you don't have anymore, or do you still have it just with adults, or what's the deal there?
Okay, it is the act of teaching that I really do love. So that part is true. And then what sort of happened is I really loved that para job, but once I was out of it and then I started my education, and so I sort of went into my undergrad on the whim of I like to read and write, so I think I'll be an English major.
Yeah.
Wasn't a clear path. So then by the time I was like, but what do I want to do to become an elementary education teacher? I would have had to take a ton more classes plus
Okay.
licensure and stuff like that. Whereas I was already kind of on a trajectory to teach at the college level English or
Wow,
literature or
okay.
something. So it just felt a little nearer. Now, it may not have felt that near since I just retold that whole story because it took
It
a while to get
it really
there.
wasn't that near. It was, though. I totally see what your thought process was. I love that sentence. It was the act of teaching that was
Hmm.
what you loved, and you discovered that really so early in your work life.
Hmm.
Um, where was I gonna go? There was a
Well,
question right from that. Oh, I was gonna have you explain what para is in case someone has no idea what a para
oh,
is.
so the para educator is you don't have a teaching license. You have some college most of the time, but not a full degree. And you basically are teacher support. So
Okay.
the teacher runs the classroom, but you help students one on one. I mean, some paras are very capable. Most paras are very capable of running a whole classroom, but they don't have the teaching credential.
Do you typically see people are only pairs if they're on a path
No,
to
some people
yeah.
paras are a really interesting job, I think, um, from our lips to God's ears that they paid more because, honestly, I did apply for a para job when I was looking for jobs here, and I couldn't even go through the whole process because I had a family to support and I couldn't afford it on the pay. But, I know moms who became paras while their kids were in school, so they're just
Brilliant.
like their way to match up their schedule. The, Omaha Public Schools here, they have a really great program of para to educator, so they will help you pay for your college so you can become a teacher. It's a really great program. So there it is used for by a lot of people who are on a path for sure, but not
But
everybody.
not everyone. I love it.
Mhm.
And I also love that your mouth to God's ears that it would pay more because
Right?
it's one of my big beefs with
Mhm.
work culture, which I really have not used the phrase work culture one time in these interviews yet, but that the jobs that people would really love and that
Oh,
are really needed don't pay
absolutely.
that well. And it's such a
Exactly.
bummer. It's such
Mhm.
a bummer
Yeah,
because because it's the kind of job you need someone who loves it and has a real
absolutely.
grace for it. And if only it would pay better. There's lots of theories out there too that when a job is meaningful, it automatically pays less because the people who pay the money believe that meaning should be your reward. But that goes even to healthcare, you know,
True, but in healthcare, they get paid.
pretty well. Yes,
In
pretty well. But
education, it's like, the teacher burnout rates would indicate that that theory does not stand up. So,
yeah,
yeah.
I don't know a lot about having a career path, paid career path that you love, but I do know that having enough money makes so much difference in life,
Yeah,
and
100%.
it is frustrating that lots of good jobs don't pay well enough for people to live.
Mhm,
Okay. What are some things, I say 3, but I don't know why I picked a number, I don't care how many, you tell me,
'kay.
that you do every day or if that's not a reality every week
In my job.
in your job?
Okay. Um, well, I think about words obsessively in multiple ways. Mostly, I'm grading, so I'm looking at student work, I'm reading student work. I have students do video journals too, so I'm listening to that, but it's always about what they're saying, right? So, um, I'm emailing students, other instructors. This is kind of surprising, but I go to a lot of meetings. Sometimes people
That
don't
is
realize
surprising.
that, but I do go to a lot of meetings, and, I yeah, navigate relationships, that's the key thing. So I sometimes say that teaching is like one part I like about it is the performance of it. It's like
Ah,
every day you come into that classroom as the teacher and there is a show to be put on.
oh my gosh, just like when we were little and played
Yeah,
school, it's really
100%.
like that?
It's 100% like that. So imagine, some days you come in and you are ready for the spotlight, right? And you've got your script and you're all ready to go. And then other days you come in and it's like, what do you guys want to do today? Who else wants to run this show? That doesn't happen to me very often,
Wow.
but occasionally. So yeah, those are the big things I do every
That's
day.
so good. I think that is so helpful for people. Do you teach do you perform, do you put on this show every single day of the week?
Except Fridays.
Okay, okay. Okay, I'm gonna love your answer to this, and be as vague or specific as you want. One thing, at least one, about your work that matters.
Mm, well, yes. Um My favorite thing about teaching all the time is seeing someone else learn. So I love providing content in a way that it makes sense to somebody so they figure something out. So obviously that's pretty easy in the kindergarten situation. And with adults, it's really pretty easy too. And especially in the class I'm teaching, exploratory studies, they do the Myers-Briggs personality quiz, they do a Holland Code assessment, which is about career interests, and then we piece all those things together, so it's pretty fun to watch people kind of figure themselves out and then kind of figure out, "Oh, I like this and this, and I'm good at this. I should go in this direction, or I should go in this direction." So that's what I love about teaching is when somebody learns something that helps them.
I've done the Holland Code, thanks to you. And me and Jesus have some talks about that because it
Does it
says
tell you?
writer
Yeah.
or like massage therapist, I think,
Oh,
or
yeah, I
something.
know. Yeah.
Or yeah, I can't remember. I'm gonna look it up
What did you get?
while we're
What did you
chatting.
get? Social, artistic, social,
Artistic social, right? You can
yeah,
get 2?
yep, or 3, depending on your scores. Some people use their 3rd and some people
I
don't.
can't get
A lot of my students like using their 3rd. Um, I have a lot of trades students, and one of my students, he was realistic, um, enterprising, and artistic. And when he started describing the kind of work he wanted to do, he realistic, is a hands-on, and he was getting into finish carpentry, which is also very artistic. You because that's the finish
Yeah.
work, that's like nicely sanded and painted and has to look just right. And he wanted to run his own company. So like bam, 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 like all 3 of his categories fit so nicely. Doesn't happen for everyone, but it sure is nice when it does.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
Mhm.
Do you ever get the Sunday night blues?
This is so hard for my husband, but no,
Oh, no.
I
Your
do
husband
not.
and your sister who
My
are
husband
kindred spirits.
it's
Your
like I
husband
can
and
feel
sister.
both of your energy sometimes on a Sunday night when I'm like still, whatever, reading my book, flipping through my phone, and I can feel the tension from Dan's chair, like
Oh
it's
my goodness.
coming. And he loves well, I shouldn't say he loves his job. He really likes his job in a lot of ways, but he would just rather be, you know, playing piano all the time.
Totally.
Mhm.
I can relate.
The
Oh,
only feeling I ever do that's kind of like that is there is some types of work that I sort of dread. Like we're coming up on the end of a quarter, which means a new quarter, and I dread making my syllabus. Like
okay.
I that
I've talked to a few college students who dread receiving a
I
syllabus as well.
know.
So
We're trapped in this cycle. They hate it. We hate making them.
that is my phrase on my LinkedIn. We are making this. The grown up world we all live in and have these
Yes.
little dreads. We're the ones making it. It blows my mind. But you can't fix all the things all the time.
No.
Um, so you love your job. Like everything sounds so perfect. Do you ever say, but someday maybe this? Do you even
Um
have that out there?
Yeah, sure. Someday, because, originally I thought maybe what I would be teaching would just be poetry and stories and writing. So there is a piece of me that maybe someday I could just teach, yeah, poetry classes full time or
Cool.
not even full time, just, a class here or there. It's probably retirement. It's probably what it is.
Possibly. Okay, let's go to a new segment. That was so fun. Thank you for telling us about your work. It really was inspiring. I have a feeling I'm going to be Kathy Lee Gifford. No one listening probably knows who that is, but she did a talk show for years with Regis Philbin. Also, probably no one knows who that is. But, and one day she was like, I don't want to talk to people about these things anymore. I want to do the things. And that's going to happen to me. I'm going to be like, I don't want to talk to people who love their jobs. I want to go love my job. So I'm going to figure this out someday. Basically, each of these podcast episode is a personal therapy session for Serenity. Thank
Right.
you all for joining us today. Okay. This section is fun. I haven't done it with anyone else before. It's called Defining Moments. And I
Okay.
want to see if you can think of a time when you were for sure I'm a grown up. Good or bad? Or both.
Good or bad or both. Um, okay, I'll go with the first one that popped in my head, and this is kind of weird, but not weird, just so my daughter Claire, she was born a preemie, as you know, and has had tons of health things in that time frame of her life. So there was one time we were in the emergency room. I think she has a shunt. So she was having shunt problems, which caused dehydration. So they wanted to put an IV in, and they could not find a good vein to put the IV in because she was dehydrated. So it's taking all the staff there to hold her down.
How old is
She
she?
she's probably maybe 10. She's probably
Okay.
around 10. They're holding her down. She's crying and screaming, and she's looking at me going, "I wanna go home. I wanna go home. I
Oh
wanna
my
go
god.
home." And I looked her straight in the eyes and I said, "I want to go home too. We cannot go home. We cannot
Oh.
go home." And I could, like, hear myself saying it and was, "Well, I mean, it's true. We can't go home." But it felt like I
Oh,
had to put a stop to the moment. I had to freeze the moment, like, there's no way out of this except through, and
oh
so
gosh.
somebody has
That's
to
it.
say something.
That's it. That would be a moment. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no way out of this but through. Um, okay. How about a defining moment when you felt that you knew yourself? Like, "Oh,
Mm.
I'm realizing this about me that might be different than other people."
Yeah. Do I get outside help, or do it has to be I realized it? I
I
got
don't know.
I'll tell the story because it's a good story. And it has to do with career because when I was adjuncting, I was doing that on top of my full-time job. And there would be days I'd come home from my full-time job and would have to basically throw food in my mouth, kiss the kids, and get in the car and leave. And then I was going to teach till like 9. So I when I was leaving for those, I would sometimes, even though I was going to do something I loved, I was so tired and I knew I was gonna miss the kids, and it was stressful. And Dan was the one who noticed that when I came home, I was always more energized than when I left.
Whoa.
And so when we were tossed around different job ideas. He could always pinpoint that as we've got to get you somewhere where you're teaching because that's when you get refilled instead of depleted. And I'm like, you're so right. You're so right. So
Ah,
yeah,
that's a
that
good
was a
one.
good knowing. Yeah, that was a good knowing.
And I think it's beautiful that someone else was with you when helping you realize that. I
Yes,
don't know that we do I think we do that's how we get to know ourselves is bouncing off of other people a little bit and
totally.
then identifying. That's why,
Hmm.
those growth, personal development, careers kinds of things, they have you write ask your friends what you're good at. Ask
Yes.
your coworkers, yeah. Okay, how about a time when you realized you knew what you wanted?
Knew what you wanted. Let's see. I think I knew this was, um, this is true for me too. I'm a verbal processor. You're obviously a verbal processor. You started a
For sure.
podcast to solve your
To work out all my work
career
problems, exactly.
anxieties. Um, so sometimes somebody unexpected will ask me a question and it will identify something. So when we made a big school shift for our kids when they were already elementary aged, and we moved them from private Christian school to public school. And my son, bless him, was in 8th grade when I did this to him.
Oof.
I really didn't think it through very well. Everything has turned out great, and I'm still very happy we did it. But at the parent teacher conferences, the first one I had for him in public school, one of his teachers said, "What made you decide to do this, to make this shift?" And first of all, I don't think anybody had asked me that question so neutrally.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
like it was not a loaded question. She didn't have a judgment. Which was what I had felt a little bit. She was just genuinely curious. So that genuinely curious question opened up inside of me. So what is my genuine answer? And so I immediately said, I think I just wanted them to experience more of the world than I had to offer them. And I thought they were so great. I wanted more people to know them.
Ah,
And
beautiful.
she was a great teacher, so of course she was like, "Well, I'm so glad you did, and he's just delightful," and blah blah blah, you know. But I hadn't ever put those words to my thoughts until somebody asked me the question. But I want you to know more, and I want more people to know you. That I realized was important to me.
I'm writing down, ask it neutrally. Like,
Mhm.
that is so beautiful that how someone asks you a thing can shape whether you can even answer it honestly.
100%.
I love it. Okay, let's switch segments. Maybe it's me is this segment. Where are you at your happiest?
Ooh. Um, in at okay, my kids will tell you it's at Lyle's Pizzeria. This is the pizza place
Yes.
down the road with all of them and Dan and a hot pizza coming and probably a little cocktail on the table.
Oh my goodness. I love it. I agree. Whenever we're all in the same room, me, my husband, our sons, and their significant others, I think I say the same thing. I love when we're all in the same
Yeah.
room. Um, what could you talk about for long periods or over and over?
Mm. Well, you know this about me. We grew up in a very faith-filled home,
Huh.
and I am still I am still processing it in beautiful, fun, and complicated ways. But talk about forever. I could talk about the ins and outs of what you believe and why you believe it and how it helps you and how it hurts you and the people around you and the social implications. I read a lot about that, about religion, Christianity specifically. Um, so I love thinking about that. Weirdly, I don't have that many people to talk to about it.
I was just going to ask. I was going to say, so you know that about yourself, that you love
Yeah.
thinking about it, talking about it. So how do you make room for that? You said reading.
Reading is my thing.
That's the
Yeah.
biggest. Yeah.
Reading and the socials and the podcasts. That's how I feed that right now. Dan will participate um pretty willingly, but not for nearly as long as I want to talk about it.
I really want you to just talk about the specific um, discussion group you did join recently with a somewhat famous person from our faith circles. I mean, he
That
was
was a book
famous.
club. It was a book club.
It was a book club. So we growing up in our faith community, we were big into the book called I Kissed Dating Goodbye by Joshua Harris. Um, Cutie patootie in the Christian world,
100%.
homeschooled boy,
Right.
who wrote
The
about
catch.
not dating. Yeah, he was the catch. He was the
Which
catch.
was
And
complicated.
he say again.
It was complicated that he was so cute, we all wanted to marry him, and he was telling us in his book that we should not date anyone, let alone him.
Yeah, I wonder if he realized that complication was there. He became a pastor church circles similar to ours. And then he had a lot of evolution in his own faith life and is still evolving, has a lot to say about it. And Felicity was in a book club with him, spoke to him.
Yeah.
They're besties now,
Yeah, pretty
basically.
much. Yeah, pretty much. It was actually such a great experience. You know how sometimes people put things out there on the internet and you're like, is this real? Is this a real person? Kind of. And especially in that scenario where we had only known him as sort of a Christian celebrity. And so when he just put out on his socials, anybody want to join a book club? I'm like, so this is like one of those things, right? Where I'm signing up to be on his on his, what is it called? An advanced team. And all it really means is I'm going to get a free copy of the book and they're going to expect a blog post out of me and 3 tweets, right? Something like that. But then when I got the email, like, hey, do you guys want to do this on Zoom? And I'm like, yes. And then we got on Zoom. And I mean, one night there was less than 10 of us, right?
Wow.
And then a couple of nights there were more than that. from all over the country, so it was super cool. And, so that was a great space for me, and we were talking about the book Holy Hurt by no, 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 no. I got Holy Hurt later. Richard Rohr's book, not Falling Upward. What's the other one? Maybe it was Falling Upward. It's Falling Upward.
Okay.
And I had read Richard Rohr before, but not that book, so I super enjoyed that. Then we did one on Holy Hurt by Hilary McBride, which really, really rocked my world. It was just amazing. I just listened to a podcast with Hilary and Josh again yesterday while I was mowing because I love hearing her talk about it, spiritual trauma and how she basically says it's much more common. It's in a lot more people in the world than we realize, and we could all use a little care with it.
We could all use a little care. This is a good time to explain one reason I could have a segment, Felicity Talks Me Down. I read a book by someone I learned about through Josh Harris's socials. He interviewed her, and she had this faith journey, faith crash, and took it all the way to the end. Has no faith in anything larger, really, than what we can see and touch. And I texted you, and I said, "Oh no, it's the end. This is going to be me. I'm never going to survive the questioning and doubts that I have." And you said, "Here, read this book," and pointed me to a different book, and it fixed it.
Yeah.
It fixed me.
It fixed it. There's this little bookshop I love in Ashland, which is outside of Omaha. It's called Postscript Press. And they sell these little pill bottles. They're like little glass pill bottles with little screw-on tops. And inside are like capsules, but inside the capsule is a line from a poem. And you can get one of these pill bottles that says like anxiety or, bad day or love problems. And you can buy this little pill bottle and just pull one out and open it up and read your prescription. So that's what I feel like I do for you is just give you a little book prescription when you need
Yes, you do.
something
Send
different.
me the name of that. I want to put it in the show notes.
Okay.
It's a real place in Omaha that you were describing?
It's just outside. It's in Ashland, just outside
Okay,
of
cool.
Omaha, and it's the cutest little shop.
I love it. Okay, I want to. So a long time ago, you wrote an article, kind of talking about growth mindset. I don't remember if you used that phrase. You used the phrase "smart girl syndrome." I remember very well. Where so I don't know if it's can't only be in girls, but in people, we can tend to think if I'm not good at it right away, I'm not doing it because so many things we are good at from the beginning. And I hear that all the time in especially the kinds of stuff I read about work and learning to love work and find your right work, things like that, is having a growth mindset. And that means that you don't accept this is as good as I can get at this thing or at life or whatever, but you believe you can learn and you can grow. So is that a thing, I'm assuming, that we can practice and get better at? Because smart girl syndrome is so natural.
Right. And we've all
Do some
felt
people
it.
have a growth mindset already?
Yes.
When I read about it, yes, it tends to say you may have this or you may not. So then I start asking myself, can I nurture it?
Yes. So we do a ton of growth mindset in exploratory studies. We talk about it quite a lot. And that's what the first main thing is. You probably are a little predispositioned. That could be nature or nurture or a combination of both, but you're a little predispositioned one way or the other. I'm a growth mindset person or a not. Because they've done a lot of the studies they've done are with kids, and they identify the kids with growth mindset and the kids without, and they have them play a video game or something, and they see that the growth mindset kids basically persevere through, and the fixed mindset kids get stuck on the levels, basically. So,
Yeah.
but we do talk about how but it is not in and of itself, whether you have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset is not a fixed property. You can use
Excellent.
growth mindset to improve your growth mindset, which is a great meta concept. Um, so yeah, and the smart girls thing that struck me as so real because you in that blog post, it was because I noticed it in one of my daughters,
Mhm.
but I noticed it because I recognized it inside of me for sure. So it's also where I kind of get that phrase, the only way out is through. Like we can't there's no way through this except there's no way to finish this except going through it. Um I was saying it this is a little bit of a tangent, but I was saying this to one of my kids about the way we love TV shows with relational conflict, but what those characters always do is have the hard conversation that we never have in real life.
Yes.
And then they get through and they can be friends again, right? But what we get stuck inside of it and nobody's brave enough to have the real conversation. And so you just stay stuck at the spot where we kind of low key don't like each other. So to me, the smart girl thing is the same way. Like you can decide to just sort of sit there and be in it, or you can go through it. Um, I the strengths,
Yes, I do. I have woo.
whatever. You have woo. Oh,
I
everyone wants
have woo.
woo.
I don't think it's my number one, but I have it.
I don't have woo, but what I love about that teaching is focusing on what you are good at to help you with things that you're not good at. Right?
Oh.
So if you so I'm not good. So I have like almost none of the organizing. I think there's a category called organizing. I have almost I think I have no strengths in that category. All my strengths are in relationships and in is there an executive category? That all my strengths are sort of in like, let's make this better and let's all do it together. But how are you going to do that every day? Who's going to make that spreadsheet? Who's going to Yeah, that's not me. Those are not my things. So the training on it is that if I don't have something in that area, but my strength is positivity and learner and ideation, that and my top strength is connectedness, then I should connect with someone who has a lot of strengths in that category of arranging and organizing and and finishing, and we should team up. And that's how my strength as a connector is going to kind of overcome some of my weaknesses without me focusing on my weaknesses to the point of my, death spiral, basically.
So it could nurture me having a better growth mindset if when I feel a little stuck, my first thought is find someone who could help me.
Yeah,
Like if
exactly.
connectedness is okay, so
Exactly.
that's still living in the
Exactly.
growth mindset. Okay, I love
And
that.
then the other thing in strengths that's connected to that I think is so good is it says, okay, so your strength is really it's your talent. The things you're good at already, you're kind of naturally good at, you're gifted, however you want to say that, times practice and work, then it becomes a strength, which they describe as this is a strength of yours now. You can do this almost perfectly every time you get to that place. But so it isn't about some people are talented and some people aren't. So we're all talented in different areas. Some people take the talent that they have and they practice it and they work it. And that's what creates a strength is that work, doing the
Okay.
work. And that's how I think you growth mindset, anything like that is you have to know there are steps you have to take to get you to the goal you're looking for.
So, I love the book Love Plus Work. You just read it not too long ago
I
too.
am still in the process of reading it, yes.
Okay. Well, he talks about I'm not even going to say his name because I can't remember right now. He talks about your strengths are the things that give you strength. So it doesn't really matter if you're good at it. If it
Mhm.
sucks you your energy, it's really not a strength for you. Do
Right.
you think that contradicts growth mindset?
No, I don't, because I think,
Like it's okay to choose what we want to grow in?
exactly,
Okay.
exactly. So, I'm not necessarily going to I don't wanna focus on my just like in school, in, college, I just wanted to get through math. I didn't wanna spend a lot of time working on it. I didn't wanna spend a lot of time thinking about it. That was depressing, but I had to put in work to get through it. But if I wanted to be really good at, you know, understanding this British novel, I also had to put in lots of time. But by doing it in something that I was interested in, that I was exponentially better at that because of the combination of something I am
Yeah.
good at and interested in, but there still is that piece of work. That's just what you gotta do.
Excellent. Okay. Um, the big question I wanted to ask you here practically at the end. Um, everyone should get a 4-year degree after high school, true or false? Why?
False. Oh, I answered too quickly.
No, you didn't.
False. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, first of all, my institution doesn't even
Right.
confer 4-year degrees. So we have a lot of very successful students with 2-year degrees. Um, Yeah, I just don't think it's what everybody needs to succeed. I do think that unfortunately we're still sort of in a world that says sometimes there's a job you could do without a college degree, but they have a college degree as like the basement requirement to even open the door, which I, instead of focusing on what you kind of want to say is that's not fair, it shouldn't be that way. Um, Unlike the realist parent who says, "Well, it is that way, so what do
Yes.
we do about it?" And so to my students, I often say, "What think of it this way, those employers aren't necessarily looking for a specific college degree because it's often not specified, but they are looking for someone who started something, put in the hard work, and finished the thing." They don't know you from anybody else, but at least that tells them you did that much and that you can be counted on to replicate that kind of work in for them. That's kind of how I
Yeah.
um and talk to students about it. I honestly think career exploration is a key to it though, because part of knowing whether you should go to school or not is what do you want to do? Because if you want to be a neurosurgeon, you have to go to school,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's really that question is really for this pot of kids who are in high school and leaving high school not knowing what to do.
Exactly.
Really, that's who that question is for. And that's super debatable because so many people that I know said they didn't know at all what they wanted to do, but their mom made them go to college, and somewhere in that college process, they figured out a path. They got on a
Yeah.
path. Um, but that doesn't figure in that in this day and age, not everybody can just go to college to figure themselves out
So
because
true.
that's not an affordable visit. So, it's a very complicated question.
It is. Is the question, what do you wanna be when you grow up, I feel is so inadequate and shaping us wrong
Mhm.
because we really only know as kids the things that can be Halloween costumes.
Right.
Those are the jobs we know,
Mhm.
and there's so many other jobs, and most of the kids today are gonna end up in jobs that maybe don't even exist while they're a kid.
Yeah, that
So,
statistic is really high.
have you heard or have you thought of better questions? What questions can we ask kids that actually does help them begin to know themselves and what they might like to do? Well, I think that's one of them is, "What do you like to do?" I
Yeah, I
think that's
do
a good
too.
simple question. Um,
I
I
mean,
wonder Yeah. The strengths thing, I don't know if there
Mhm,
should be more of that.
mhm. I do think that's helpful because it sort of helps you identify. Now, of course, all of these surveys, all these interest surveys, as I remind students, it's it's a garbage in, garbage out sort of situation. So if you're taking this survey and going neutral, 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 that those results mean nothing. So
Yeah.
you do have to be a willing participant in that. Um, but like that Holland one is very straightforward. Like build kitchen cabinets. Does that sound really fun or not fun at all? Like, it's not hard,
Yeah.
and it really does identify, even the realistic category. Yeah, you automatically think that that's tradespeople, but it also is professional athletes, and it
Oh,
also
wow.
is people in the medical field who like to work with machines. So, X-ray techs and respiratory therapists. So, there are a lot of ways to use things like that to narrow down. So you have an interest in health field, but you do not have an interest in going to school for the next 16 years of your life. There are a lot of things you can do in the health field that pay well
Yeah.
that you can go to school for 2 years for, that you can go to school for 4 years for. So I do think it has to do with what kinds of things do you like to do? Do you like to solve problems? Do you like to make things? Do you like to
Yeah.
work with people? We probably all kind of do identify some of these things if we pay attention to the games we played when we were kids, right?
Yeah. I, I said that in my intro episode that, people say, did I say that or did I cut that part? People
I
say
don't
you can
know.
find your purpose by what you did when you were 10.
Oh,
And
yeah.
nothing that I did when I was 10 has ever been asked of me in a job. So it's
Yeah,
very,
right?
like, I really, no one really cares that I liked watching Little House on the Prairie and playing it. But I did happen to think that one thing I liked to do when I was 10, I did it twice at least. I started clubs.
Yes.
We had the
We did have
doctor's daughters don't drink diluted donuts. That was
you
our
have
password because it was
no,
us
no.
and the dentist's daughter.
It
We
was
were
not the
so cool.
password, it was the name of the club.
Oh, I thought it was a password to
No.
get through the bush, the little bushes to get into the
I don't
club.
know.
Oh, man.
I know we stored all our very special treasures in a a wooden wine box that I thought was, like, definitely forbidden because it had held wine.
Oh. You're we're from the Nate Bargatze school of,
We're
um,
teetotalers.
yeah, yeah, parents. Yeah, and then I started another club with my friend Maggie in 5th grade, the Rainbow Bright Club probably, or just Rainbow Club, and we had a secret code and everything. So, connectedness, it was already showing up, and
Is that your top 5 too?
it's in my
Connectedness?
top 5. I
Yeah.
can't remember shouldn't I know my top 1? I should really know that. But, connectedness is definitely up there. Maximizer is one
I
of my top ones,
also.
which sounded like you were kinda talking about that too. But,
Yeah.
okay, so one one more in that line of topic is a book I loved called The Good Enough Job. The author is Simone Stolzoff. I think I've got that last name right. And he was trying to decide whether to go to grad school, and someone told him, "If you could do it but not tell anyone, would you still do it?" Do you think that's a good question for making a choice like grad school? And I feel like you kind of already answered that when you said you got to think about what you want to do.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say is, well, first of all, grad school is gonna cost you so much money. So, I mean, you really only wanna do it if you are gonna be able to pay it off later.
Yeah.
I'm totally a person who would go to school until the end of time probably
Right.
if it wasn't for how much it costs and how embarrassing how embarrassing it is to say, "Yeah, oh, yes, I have 3 masters," and
Oh, yeah, that's embarrassing. No, I hear what you're saying,
well,
though. You fortunately can go to school your whole life, sort of. I mean, you can learn. You can
I'm
be a
in school my
lifelong
whole
learner.
life. One of my, colleagues I heard her describe her reason for getting into teaching was because she loved being a student so much. She was looking for a job that would let her be a student, and she thought being a
Oh,
teacher would be the closest thing to it. And I
wow.
would say at our level, that's probably true. It's probably not as true at, like, lower like, elementary levels. You've pretty much mastered that content. So you're really just working.
Yeah.
But, at the college level, and especially, we I'm surprised we haven't mentioned AI at all in this convo,
Oh,
but
yeah, because
it
I
feels
don't
like
even
it's
know what
the
to say.
only thing that we talk about in meetings now. It's like,
Oh, boy.
what are we gonna do? How are we gonna do it?
Do you follow Joseph Gordon-Levitt on Substack?
No, I do not.
If you care about that AI conversation, follow him. He is talking about it so much. He's definitely comes more from the artist perspective, which is more um, averse in
Yes,
some
I
ways to
I
AI.
think
But he
yeah.
just has really smart ideas about what to do with it because it's here.
I feel much clearer about what to do with AI as a creative writing instructor. It's pretty much, "No, this is a no-fly zone. We do not AI here."
Yeah.
But it's much more complicated in pretty much every other category.
I
And
know.
and it does get complicated in creative writing because even though I personally believe it should not be used at all, not all my students share my belief. And so then I'm running into I told someone the other day, it's like, I'm to the point now where I've become so disheartened. Oh, here's something about my job that I don't like. I've bec
Oh, she found a thing she doesn't like.
I like kind of dread opening my grading portal because I'm so afraid of the AI that I'm gonna read. And so I'm already, like, assuming that I'm gonna read a bunch of AI, which I don't think
Uh,
is fair to my students, right? Because they're not all using AI. Please, Lord, not let all of them be using AI. I know some of them aren't because they have mistakes in their work, so a good typo will help it not look like, although I
and
understand.
teacher Felicity just told everyone how to trick the teacher into
Okay, no, I just
not
heard
thinking
exactly, just what I
AI.
was about to say is the kids have told me recently that there's a humanizer that you can use, and you put your AI work through the humanizer, and it makes it so a
Oh,
teacher
boy.
like me goes, "Oh, this must be real because they had a typo." So anyway, you can see why it is a little stressful, the AI discussions.
Yeah, it is stressful. Um, it is. It's gonna I think everyone is a little bit scared and unsure right now, except maybe the kids who are like, "Yes, our lives are so much
I
easier."
know, but the kids are torn too, honestly, because they are a lot more environmentally aware than a lot of their parents, grandparents, maybe. And so I see in them this really torn spirit where
Wow.
they really believe in the environment and wanting to save the environment and pretty much know that AI data centers are wrecking the environment. And so I think it's hurting their souls.
Moral
So
injury. Okay,
moral
that's interesting.
injury.
Um,
Yes.
I don't wanna stop talking to you, but I I don't even know how long this is now. So I'm gonna go to my
It's
last
too
thing.
long.
It's too long, but I probably will not be able to cut a second of it. Um, the last section I prepped you for a little bit. It worked for me. Can you name something big or small that has worked for you in your work life or personal life that you want to share? Maybe something that led to an aha moment once, or it regularly helps you find more meaning in life.
Yes, and I sort of get this from Dan, although I was raised in it too. But, so it kind of sounds spiritual. I mean, it is spiritual, but, he would when we were making decisions about the kids, he started saying, "Yeah, I feel peace about that. I feel peace." And that's just how he would describe it. And or vice versa. He would say, "I just don't feel peaceful about that, like internally." So it's sort of that intuition, gut, spirit place inside of us. But I totally rely on that because I
Wow.
feel like I know I when decisions are always hard, but when I can think about if I make this decision, how does it feel? If I make this decision, how does it feel? I'm like chasing that peaceful feeling. Just different. It's different than not conflict,
Yeah.
right? It's there might be conflict involved, but it is a peaceful feeling. So that works for
Beautiful.
us. Yeah,
I love it. I love how much Dan appeared in this podcast
right.
episode, honestly.
Inevitable.
Yeah, he's gonna have to be on the show as well, although that conversation will be very much like, "What are we gonna do?
Right? I mean,
How are we gonna get through tomorrow?"
if you get to him quick, he'll be able to tell you about his trip to Vegas, which he's on right now, and last night he got to see The Wizard of Oz at the Sphere, so he's feeling like his day job's paying off pretty good right now, I think.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. Felicity, thank you for being here for the first of, I hope, many times.
My pleasure.